Ende ba ekenekwa enyi m unu. Asị m ka ụbọchị nke taa ka ọ mara na anyị na mma anyị si ka nkonye chiri ya zelu ya dịka o siri ya bụ Eastern News 24 ka anyị si na-ewetara ya bụ ozi unu je gị n'ugbu a n'iru akwụkwọ ya bụ ife bụ gbasata maka ya bụ ihe na-ada na-akpọtụ n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya and nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ n'iru akwụkwọ ya bụ ife ka ji maka ya wee bịa. Ihe anyị wetara unu tata bụ nnukwu update. Ihe njisi na nnukwu update bụ na anyị ga-etinyere unu ya bụ ihe ka unu gee, mana tupu anyị etinyere unu ya bụ ihe ka o si dị now, the world, United Nations, US, United States of America, AU, Russia, everybody na-ene anya gbasata maka ikpe Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. All the world powers is watching on Maazị Nnamdi Kanu's case. Ka njidegodi ya ebe ahụ achọrọ m ịkala unu mmọnwụ gee ya bụ ife anyị ji maka ya wee bịa. The international community is now putting mouth concerning Maazị Nnamdi Kanu's case, and everybody na-ekwuzi the truth about it. So you get say if you drop if you channel then kege. All right, over to you.
And we're talking about a potpourri of issues. Mr. Kanu, it's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you again, Markwe.
Well, this is where we are right now, looking at a host of issues that have happened throughout this week, matters in the news. The PDP is in the news. It does appear that some controversy was brewing. I don't know whether they're getting successful in quelling it with the attempted suspension of the chairman of the BOT, Senator Adolphus Wabara. We also have Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, who went to court this week. I mean, it did seem like that case had died down, but all of a sudden it's back in the news, and you know, we still have to remember that he's still facing trial. But this year, or this week, he was in court, and you know, things got a bit heated between himself and the judge. The judge, we understand that he actually went up to confront the judge at the end of the day. What did you make of that story?
Well, I mean, I think I would like to recall my own view on the question of whether Nnamdi Kanu should get a political resolution or should go through the legal system, you know, our criminal justice system. And I think my view then was that, look, the quantum of the allegations against Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, the things that we heard him say and do, you know, requires him to go through the legal process. You know, I don't see any compelling need for us to use the political, you know, traction. I mean, or the political track to sort this matter. Why? Yeah, well, because I think that the allegations against him are strong enough, and you know, he hasn't made any kind of mitigation of it. So I thought it's important to test those things in court properly. Now, but what has now happened in the case of Nnamdi Kanu is that the system is treating him very poorly. You know, and fair is fair. If we say that this guy has to go through the legal process, which is my view of what should happen, then we have to conduct that legal process in a fair manner. You've had a situation where the judge, you know, considered to recuse herself. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you know, considered to, you know, an enroll order to say that, yeah, I am now recused. You know, that's another record. You can't then come back on the instruction of the chief judge to say that, you know, you've been compelled to take the case again, you know, because you are independent as a judge. A judge is independent. Now, they have chief justices and chief judges who are, you know, the head of the courts in that sense administratively. But what a judge does is not subject to being under a chief judge. So a judge is independent. That's what the state pays you to be. You have to say that this is my view and this is the order that I'm putting on my view. So it is not enough for the judge to come back and say that now I have to take the case because the chief judge has compelled me. Where is the order of the chief judge? So
he was right in that sense then to have confronted her and said, look, I'm only here out of politeness, out of respect for the court. That's why I'm here, but I do not recognize your authority over whatever it is that is decided here, because you have already recused yourself.
Well, I think that Nnamdi Kanu, as is usual with him, was outlandish, and there was quite a bit of drama with many things, around Nnamdi Kanu. It's a lot of drama going on. And I think he was even rude to one of his lawyers. Those kind of behaviors don't really recommend him as somebody that you attract, regard so much. If you talk to your lawyer like that, it doesn't show that you respect persons that you ought to. But that's a different matter entirely.
So maybe he's just angry. If you, as an observer, has seen that, look, even if you're going to be going through the process, this process doesn't seem to have been fair. Doesn't he have a right to lash out in the way that he's lashing out?
Well, I don't think that is the proper way to manage the situation in the court. And this is not the first time that we see, Nnamdi Kanu in that frame. So not that I'm surprised. But I want to keep an eye on the focus that, look, the way and manner they are treating the Nnamdi Kanu case, it is not fair. It is not fair. The guy is entitled, and the legal system must give him a fair process. And we need to see that process is fair. You can't have different rules, and say that up today, down tomorrow. No, that's not fair. And everybody, that is committed to the rule of law in this country should speak out and say that, no, you cannot treat Nnamdi Kanu that way. Now, we're not saying that you give him a get out of jail free card, but we are saying that let him go to the process, but let him go to the process fairly, in a transparent way that all of us can see is independent.
Okay, well, the case has now been adjourned indefinitely.
Yes, in a died.
What does that mean? I mean, at the end of the day, is it going to go back to the chief judge? Because clearly, if there's no new date, it means that, is it just going to be in a cell till God knows when? I
think that the onus is on the prosecution. And I want to say that the Attorney General of the Federation, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, ought to step in and ensure that from the side of the government that is prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu, that the right thing is done. The woman, Honorable Judge, has recused herself. And all that Nnamdi Kanu is saying, even if we condemn his outlandish behavior, what he's saying is true. That, look, you have recused yourself. So we should call on the Attorney General, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, that, look, do the right thing. Let the prosecution line up with the correct procedure that we all are aware of, and get another judge. And I don't think that is the cause of that is the work of the Attorney General. But the prosecutor should be willing to say that, look, we want to prosecute this case. Let's do it. Let's do it properly.
Well, Mr. Olaokun, even that very one that you say he should go through the justice system, some people will accuse you of bias and say, look, you didn't speak up when Sunday Igboho was let off the hook. I mean, what is different from what Sunday has done from what Nnamdi Kanu is doing or has done as well?
You don't ask me about Sunday Igboho, to be fair to me.
I'm asking you now. I'm giving you the opportunity.
So I didn't say that Igboho should be let off the hook.
But he has been let off the hook.
Yeah, well, so it doesn't. So I wouldn't take responsibility for that, because it's not my decision. And it's the same thing with people who are terrorists, people who are bandits. I never, in my person, acting as Olaokun, I never succumb or agree to a situation where people who have, flagrantly, violently violated our commonwealth, committed heinous crimes. I have never, and I will never succumb to the idea that they should be sorted out politically. No, it's wrong.
So even that of Sunday Igboho, you take objection with it?
Well, you should. That's my point. That's my point. Whether it's Sunday Igboho, whether it's the bandits in the northwest, whether it's the terrorists in northeast, whether it's the people causing mayhem in the southern part of Nigeria, wherever it is, when people break the law, and when they break the law violently, when they commit heinous crimes, they need to be disciplined so that there will be deterrence. There's so much impunity in our system that I don't think that we should just take the path and say, let's have a political resolution. we will not be able
Yeah, but
to
given the fact that the state did not seem to share that view and have let some off now politically, even Boko Haram, for God's sake, we're giving them amnesty. You know, doing all manner of things.
Right.
If that is the path that the state has taken, why not Nnamdi then?
Well, we have to start from somewhere. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. You know, so in 1998, Christmas Eve, I was driving from my office in Philadelphia to Delaware. You know, I bought a new car. It was Christmas Eve. Everybody was excited. We were all on the road, speeding. You know, a lot of us on the road. And then the police guy, you know, decides that I'm the one that is going to stop. He stops me, you know, and I said to him, look, how did you choose me? It's because you are a white man, I'm a black man. I'm not going to pay this ticket. They said, well, if you don't pay the ticket, then you go to court. I said, I go to court. I went to court, you know, I'm so full of myself, and then I made my case to the judge, and he just said, oh wow, the man can pick only one person at a time, you know. So the fact that indeed I felt that I was being treated unfairly because others were doing it who were not stopped, that didn't change the law. The law is whoever is caught, and the person who is doing the catching decided to catch me. Guess what? I not only have to pay the fine, now I have to pay, you know, a further premium for my audacity to come to court. My point is that, yes, it is wrong, all the things that has happened, but we have to start from somewhere to doing it right, you know. And so I'm not going to say because you've had amnesty for some of the people in the north who have done, you know, heinous crimes, then we should have amnesty for everybody, and then we never get. No, we have to sort it out, and we have to have the time to say that, look, let's draw the line. From now on, going forward, this is how we do it. I don't think that, you know, sorting out these matters politically, I don't think it has helped us significantly. Honestly, it hasn't.
Well, here we are now. I mean, a number of issues as Nnamdi Kanu's incarceration. We also see politically, I mean, talking strictly politics now, the PDP has been in the news. As a matter of fact, they're still very much in the news today. Tax, of course. As is tax reform bill. Went through yesterday. No surprises there for you, right?
No
surprises there for you. But
I think
we can see it's moving quite smooth. Are you concerned about that though? The speed, well, I don't want to say it's the speed, but the ease with which it is moving along.
The tax reform bills?
Yeah.
I think we need the tax reform bills. Look, we have to be honest with ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, what I will want is a situation where we know who we are dealing with. We're not dealing, when we're talking about taxation issues, we're not dealing with the very poor people at the lower rungs of the ladder, the majority of our people. No, that's not people we are dealing with. We're dealing with people who can pay and who are not paying. They're not paying their fair share. It's ridiculous.
And you think that these bills will make them pay?
I think it will. It will encourage, you know, the tax bracket is going to become bigger.
Well, we'll see about that. They say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So let's take a look at the PDP. Yeah. What exactly is going on? We saw what happened in Abia State, an attempt to suspend the chairman of the PDP VOT, and that has been heavily, well, I say, refused or, you know, pushed back by the PDP itself at the national level. What exactly what are the dynamics going on behind the scenes?
The
APC will have something to do with this. Is it not to their benefit if the PDP is not together?
It's a shame that PDP doesn't understand how to play opposition politics. They have become so, I mean, this is just, they're just throwing tantrums. I mean, look, whatever you say about APC, whatever we say about it, and there's a lot to say about APC, and I've said it several times. I was a victim of APC's campaign of change. I left New York to come to Nigeria because I believed that APC was going to bring change. 8 years after, they have not. And I'm personally disappointed. But you must give it to APC that they understand opposition politics. Particularly somebody like the president. Regardless of whatever we have to say about the president, that guy stood in one position from 1999 up until 2023. Never changed party, really. Except when they changed the name of their party. That's the kind of commitment to a particular track that we need. And that is the kind of thing that PDP people have not demonstrated.
But the people in the party, I mean, Senator Adolphus Wabara has been in the PDP since I can remember.
And look at how they are treating him. I mean, and then this is the point. This is the point that the people that are running PDP or that have brought PDP to this sorry pass, they should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, it all started, and I said this recently. It all started when the PDP, constituted itself to become an obstruction to the national consensus that Nigerians have seemed to have agreed on rotational presidency. This was where it all started. And so the moment you have PDP saying that, okay, look, we're going to throw up a northern president, when we've just had a northern president for 8 years, that was an assault on the intelligence of Nigerians, and PDP is suffering from it. And they will continue to suffer from it until they put their house in order.
Let's get this straight. I mean, it's a democracy, isn't it? And majority at the end of the day will carry the day. Not everybody within the PDP went with that. At the end of the day, it was majority that had their say at the PDP convention, so to speak. It's not because sovereign candidates did not present themselves. They were also at play. But this is where they are right now. Right now, they claim that there are external forces outside of their party that are trying to use some members within their party. And this is a playbook they seem to have borrowed from the APC when they started attacking the national chairman. Adams Oshiomhole was the first to go down by suspending him from the ward. So you now see state executive councils all of a sudden developing powers that people are saying they do not have, trying to see how they can suspend the chairman of a BOT. Do you think that somebody is not playing a tune somewhere that some people are dancing to within the PDP?
Well, Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State and former minister of the Federal Republic, has given us an insight that in Nigeria, what politicians do is that politicians steal, politicians kill, and politicians maim to remain in power. And this is a big deal. So what is happening in PDP? What happened when PDP chose? Yes, you're right. They had a democratic convention, but there's a saying in my language that says that and I'm wondering how to translate that into English now. But the point is that the people that pushed that agenda to upend our original presidency, it was a deliberate thing. And you are right that the party fell for it democratically. But guess what? Nigerians did not fall for it. And that, in my mind, is the foundation of the problem of PDP. And a lot of this is just the beginning of the PDP mess. I don't see them sorting themselves out. And it's just a shame that we don't have a credible opposition that we need in this country. We need a credible opposition.
Now, what do you think can save them? Because really, when Senator Adolphus Wabara, who was the Senate president, was made the chairman, some people said, oh, finally, they've begun to find people that have clout, people that, that have the standing to be able to, speak sense and speak truth to all corners of the party, to say, we can, and find how to rally the party together, to get it up to where at least it can actually put its weight as a credible opposition. But when you see things that are happening like this, you have to question what exactly is going on.
You're right that there are people pulling the strings, which is the interpretation of what I was trying to say. There are always people pulling the strings behind the masquerade. So when you see the masquerade dancing in the marketplace, there are people that are behind the masquerade. So yeah, you're right. There are people who are trying to emulate Adolphus Wabara, who I will concede. People like Adolphus Wabara, they are the more decent, human beings who seem to have their, a right perspective. But see how they are treating him. Because the problem is more fundamental. The problem is, will PDP become a vehicle for the assault on rotational? Look, the rotational thing in this country, we need to take it to the next level. We can't go back. At least we haven't got to the point that we can go back. So any attempt to try and subvert that ought to be met with the kind of shape that PDP is going through. So in my view, the way to sort it out is for PDP to put this house in order and understand that, look, we need to recognize our own constitution, the constitution of the party itself, on these matters.
Let me quickly take it to Ayo now before he accuses me of monopolizing the conversation. Ayo.
Well, I don't know which party you belong to, or probably have said that, but hey, Mr. Akonde, let me take this to the space of communication. I think that's one of the major issues that we've had. I hope you can hear me well. The challenge has always been that of, so who is doing what? Who is talking to who? How are we communicating to our people? Are we saying the right things? Two issues that I would like you to take up in the space of communication is this telecom price hike and this whole conversation around tax reforms. It will seem like on the one hand there are those who know, and on the other hand there are those who don't know. Now there are those who know and who ought to be speaking to those who don't know in a way that everybody will come on board and will be able to understand what is going on. On the other hand is the belief in some quarters that there are those who know, who just want to weaponize the information or the knowledge that they have against those who don't know, so that the right thing is not done and they will continue to benefit. How do you find this conundrum?
Well, that's a very deep philosophical underpinnings that you have given it to Mr. Ayo Makinde. So, but I think the point that I'm trying to make is that the centrality of communication in all of these things is appreciated, and we shouldn't lose sight of it. What I will go ahead to say is that I think that we haven't had the kind of conversation that we need to have on the telcos, their performance, their output, the struggles that we go through when we are trying to make phone calls, which speaks to the problems of their infrastructure, and then the idea of their own cost rising, for which reason that they need to now raise the tariff. I have not seen a consistent, a well-organized conversation around those issues. And that is what has to happen. That hasn't happened yet. So I hope I was able to answer your question. I didn't quite go so much into the depth of the philosophy, but to say that you are right, we are not having the kind of communication, the kind of conversation on the issues. I've not seen any kind of organized, conversation on those issues. Why do you have to struggle when we make phone calls? Why is it so difficult to get a call through the first time, or the second time, and then when you get it through, you are cut off in 2 or 3 minutes, and all the other disruptions that we experience? What is happening with our network? Who is responsible for sustaining the network, for maintaining the network? So that when we are talking about the rising cost of their own business, which is a reasonable conversation, then we can also balance it with their current output, so that we can reach some kind of a common ground.
I'm not sure, on the basis of what you're saying, Mr. Akonde, I'm not sure that we shouldn't hold the NCC to a significant extent, particularly in the communication ambit of this conversation, because I remember at some point, I think in the early days, 2001 and further down, there was what they had something they called the Telecoms Consumer Parliament, which they took around from time to time to different parts of the country. I'm not sure if you are aware of that. I don't know, perhaps that's the basis on which you're speaking now. We don't even know whether those conversations still happen. So, but should it have been the same for this tax reform conversation as well?
Yeah, I agree. And the idea of having that kind of conversation, even when you are not planning to do anything, is a great thing, so that there is a constant flow of effective communication between the telcos and the consumers, coordinated, you are right, Ayo, by the NCC, it is actually the NCC that we have to call out, because they have the regulatory authority that is not being exercised, it will seem, in this matter on the behalf of the consumers. It seems a lot of the regulatory authority in this country generally, a lot of it is on the behalf of the corporate institutions, the corporate bodies. We don't see the interaction between the regulatory agencies, and not all of them, but particularly in this particular case, NCC. I haven't seen the kind of consistent, organized communication interaction with the consumers. And that's why I think we must commend what the FCCPC chairman, Mr. Tuni Bello, is doing to try to say that, look, I mean, FCCPC has regulatory oversight on every issue that concerns consumers. And I think FCCPC is now working with NCC. We are waiting to see the outcome of that so that we can have a system of a robust communication, not only when the tariff is going to go up or go down, but there should be an ongoing communication so that the people will have an opportunity to express their frustrations and to discuss their experiences with the network, with the infrastructure of the telcos, so that their own side of the story is also out there. NCC so far has failed in providing us that platform for communication.
Well, you skipped the part where I talked about tax reforms, or maybe some other time. However, how about this one that we've been giving communication out to people, and I dare say in some states that they have this communication distilled in languages, yet we still have a situation where people still go ahead to scoop fuel on the streets at the very risk of their own lives. Anything can happen at any time. And of course, now this conversation coming from the NMDPRA that, look, we need to really do something about this. We've been putting conversation out about tanker fires and the risks it portends to life and property. So how about that?
Yeah, okay, so and I'll come to that. Let me make a point quickly about the tax reform. I am delighted that those 4 tax reform bills are going forward. I'm delighted, and that's my point. Yeah, maybe we've learned a few lessons, so that we can do it better. But it's very important because those who can pay taxes in this country, they are avoiding payment big time. Our tax to GDP ratio is one of the lowest in the world. So I am for this tax reform. Now, on the issue of getting our people to be aware about all this. Fire and inferno all over the place, how to make them become aware. I think it has to be an ongoing thing, and we have to make it even more intense. But the truth of the matter is that the human condition in our country today is susceptible to that kind of behavior. People are becoming very desperate about how they're going to survive. We are inching, very precariously to the obscene state of nature where life is brutish, short, and nasty. And that's why we always say to the government that we have to pay attention to beating the multi-dimensional poverty. A big aspect of what governments should be doing at the federal level and at the state level is how do we take care of poverty, especially feeding. People must be able to eat. We must solve that problem. It must be number 1 on the agenda.
Mr. Laodokonde, there are a host of other issues that I'd really love to take you up on, and I know that it includes the fact that we moved up a little on transparency, right?
Eastern 24. Also the key be abo. Kifi wole ikwu no dinkege. Bosta maka bife nda ni no kase e discuss for ni bosta maka Maazị Nnamdi Kanu and ya bi ikpe nke ogalu na oge nke gara aga na court na 10th of February 2025. N'ụdị nke gị na echiche nke gị ka efi were ikwu gbasata maka ebe ife ndị a niile nọ kabaro ka etụsakwa ya bụ ozi ọ dịkwa nnukwu mkpa ka ụmụnne anyị ndị ọzọ na-eso ikwe a na-amakwa ife na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya ngwanụ ka emesịa na ụmụnne m